welcome. First, we'll welcome everyone. Welcome them to make sure they're not here for the dance recital, which is downstairs, and that they're here for Snohomish County Indivisible's meeting. Oh, I'm moving. I'm sorry. Center stage. Okay, yeah, threw me out completely.
Yeah.
The dance recital, Janet, is downstairs. One more time for the people in the back who may not have been paying attention. With that, I am Paula Townsell. I am Deputy Director here with Indivisible and delighted for those of you who came out today to join us. It's an exciting program, lots of important information that hopefully will give you some hope for elections. At this time, I would invite Audrey to the front to read the land acknowledgement.
Snohomish County Indivisible strives to take meaningful action to acknowledge that our meetings and events are held on the ancestral lands of the Snohomish tribe. Today, we acknowledge this beautiful region and the earliest inhabitants, the Coast Salish people, whose feet first walked this land and whose paddles first knew the water. Snohomish County Indivisible makes an offering for each of our gatherings, and we will include a contribution to acknowledge our meeting here today. Please join us in expressing our gratitude for this space and the opportunity to build community together.
Thank you, Audrey. And she had mentioned that Audrey's on our admin team, and we appreciate her contributions and those of other admin team folks who are in the room now. If you would raise your hand if you serve on the admin team, that would be wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you. We do have excused absences today. With that, I will invite Chris from the admin team to come up and read the mission statement.
I will refer to a lot as being Paula's husband. Yes.
Good.
As part of the national grassroots movement of indivisible groups, we are dedicated to electing progressive leaders who embody our values and work towards the passage of legislation that reflects those purposes. As a nonpartisan organization, we are committed to building and strengthening partnerships with like-minded activist groups across Snohomish County that reflect our shared values. We advocate for the implementation of bold, progressive policies, striving to ensure a strong democracy. We achieve this by organizing efforts to amplify our voices to elected officials, ensuring that our democracy is free from local and national policies or legislation that marginalizes the vulnerable and undermines our health and well-being. We are committed to promoting equality, fairness, and justice for all through education and activism. Hear, hear.
Today, my lift is very light because somebody did the lion's share of work, so I would like to acknowledge that. We also have a wonderful guest speaker in the room today that will be presenting, two wonderful guest speakers in the room that will be presenting. And for those of you who don't know, we've had a major overhaul on our website. And if you have not been to Snohomish County Indivisible's website recently, you simply must go back and check it out because somebody had a lot of sleepless nights and did an amazing job. And with that, I will turn the meeting over to our communications manager, Cass. Yeah.
I have a job. And just so we're really clear, this is only my second presentation ever, and I cannot control the nervousness, so I'm sorry if it goes a little weird. We did also change our format a little bit. We're trying to keep it under an hour, so that you can get out of here and enjoy your Sunday. We'll probably reserve questions for the last half hour between 4 and 4:30, and probably not make it like a formal Q&A session. If we move too fast through slides, they'll be sent out later. I believe we're also going to be uploading the meeting to YouTube. So you'll be able to catch information again. And then I also send out emails every single week. We're going to be talking about the contents of this meeting for months to come. So first off, big and important, local elections do matter. They help protect our county from what's happening federally. They also set the tone for the future of Washington State, and that matters a lot. I know a lot of people worried about like, oh my God, what if the federal government dissolves? we still have a state, we still have a county, we still have towns. And the policies that are implemented locally impact our lives every single day. Conservative candidates turn out in mass because they know this. They want to win our small elections, they want to win states. It's not just our federal electeds. We've had a number of issues last year. We had several close calls, and then the Charter Review Commission, which we'll be discussing today, was actually staffed with conservative candidates, and they set the tone for how elections work for the next 10 years. It's a big deal when we don't show up. And also really important dates. We'll be talking about this an awful lot. I have this form that I made up. It will be shared out. It will be shared on social media. It will be shared at every single meeting. These are the dates of elections. July 15th, ballot boxes open and ballots are mailed. August 4th, last day to turn in your ballot at a ballot box. If you mail it in, it's not the last day. The ballot's going to come weeks ahead because they are in fact trying to stop mail from being returned. Well, actually, they're also trying to stop ballots from even going out in the first place. Totally separate issue. So what's on your ballots for the August primaries? Our congressional districts for Snohomish County are 1, 2, and 8. Our incumbents are running again: Susan Delbene, Rick Larson, and Kim Schreier. For our legislative districts, we have quite a few. These all touch Snohomish County. I realize probably not everyone lives way out in some of the further districts, but they still matter, and we can still support candidates in those areas. A uncontested race just means that there's 2 candidates running and they'll progress to the primary. Yes, contested means there's more than that, and so those are the votes that are going to matter in the primary. We do have 1 unopposed candidate. She's the only candidate on the ballot. And then we have a few for state senate that actually aren't even on the ballot. The Washington State Supreme Court justice is a really, really big deal. Obviously, federal Supreme Court is a big deal, so it's a big deal in the state also. There are 9 seats just this term for 6-year terms, but the terms are staggered. This year we have 5 seats open. For your primary ballots, only 1, 3, 5, and 7 will be on the ballot. Position 4 is actually going directly to the general election. It's not on our ballot. The PUD district, number 1, for PD commissioner, there are 3 districts, 1 candidate each. Board of the PUD sets policies and rates, guides operations, and appoints a general manager. But it also means that the PUD commissioner is going to have a say in what happens with data centers, because data centers have to draw lots and lots of energy. That's a big deal right now. And then this part, Paul is going to take over for what precinct committee officers are, which there are like 10,000 of them. They're not all on the ballot though, thank goodness. And you're only going to see 1.
Okay, she makes it seem like we're overdoing it as PCOs. First of all, a PCO is a precinct committee officer. Every place in Washington state has someone an opportunity to be a PCO. There are affiliations to a party. You're either selecting you're a Democratic PCO or you're a Republican PCO. So for example, I live inside of Everett 72. I am the elected PCO representing the Democratic Party. There can also be someone representing the Republican Party. The goal is to have these PCOs out there talking to their neighbors, answering questions, being better informed than a lot of the average folks out there to help people get those ballots completed. In areas where you have a PCO, you get often as much as 5% or greater return on those ballots. You're going to get a lot more voters. It matters. Anybody, obviously, if I'm one, anybody can be a PCO. All you have to do is file when filing week comes up. There's no cost. That's the beauty of that position. While you may pay $1,000 to run for mayor of Everett, you pay nothing to be a PCO. What you do have to do is you do have to show up. You have to get informed. It matters. You're going to have the opportunity to remind your neighbors to vote. You're going to have information from the local party. You're going to vote on party priorities and leadership of your legislative district and of the county. You're going to decide which candidates to endorse. PCOs are absolutely the backbone of the political party. And we're nonpartisan here, but it does matter whose values are represented in the elected seats. You can also be an appointed PCO. If you missed the opportunity to be elected into that seat, you can be appointed by the local party. If you want more information on that, please see me later. I would love to share. Thank you.
I'm gonna go over propositions that are on the ballot really quickly. Primarily, this is just an education thing. I want people to understand what levy lid lists are, so that you can educate other people on it, basically. So we have the city of Everett has one, Stanwood does as well. Actually, Stanwood is not levy lid lifts, they're just taxes, but still, you want our taxes fund good things like safety. We have 3 fire protection districts. They all have either levy or levy lid lifts. This is basically just, it's kind of like adjusting for inflation. They have a limit of 101%, and this just makes it so that we can raise it more than 1% in a year. Educate yourselves on what this matters so that you can have conversations with other people. We also have the Darrington School District. If you remember back in February, I think was the last time we had it. All of the school districts in Snohomish County, actually in majority of the state, I think it was, had their bonds and levies ran. A lot of the districts that didn't have them pass are trying to run them again. Darrington happens to be the only one doing it this time. I know for a fact at least one district is going to run again in November. They're just trying to get their funding passed, and we need people to vote for that. The hospital district is for Evergreen Health in Monroe, which again, even if you don't live there, this stuff matters. Like if I get injured when I'm out on Highway 2 and I'm going to get transferred to a hospital, I want it to be a good facility. This matters for our quality of life. And then the Snow Isle Library levy lid lifts. Again, we are actually officially endorsing this and we'll be advertising for it. I know it actually wants people to walk with them in the Edmonds parade, I believe it is. I will be sending out all that information on Monday, hopefully. Hold me to it. Library funding is revisited every several years. The last time it was done was in 2018 though. And again, the levy lid lift is just saying 1% isn't enough considering inflation. They need a little extra this time. Find out more information. You can see a sample ballot already on the Snohomish County website. League of Women Voters, especially the Snohomish County chapter, provides nonpartisan information. They are so good at being nonpartisan that the government refers to them repeatedly. And they actually assist with a lot of voter outreach in partnership with the county when they fund vote401.org. Ballotopedia is a good website. I use it regularly, especially when looking up historical information if you want to find out if this person has ran before and what happened. In November, we do have the 2 initiatives that will be on the ballot. This is the first one was for altering requirements for public school reporting information about minors to their parents, which is a really big deal if the child lives in an abusive home, because it forces the school to give information to parents that might increase harm. The other one also requires only players on girls' sports teams, not the boys' teams, to provide medical sex certification. They cannot participate unless they do this, which includes exposing their genitals to a doctor or getting expensive lab tests. We want a big fat no on these.
That's like every girl compete?
Yes.
Wow. Every girl does. Like what? Smiley.
Yeah, and I also, you can look at this stuff on their website to go over a lot more for the No Hate in Washington State. I have a button right here. One of the things I point out is sports physicals are frequently done in gymnasiums, which means they would have to expose their genitals in the middle of a gym and potentially be witnessed by other people. Like it's actually pretty horrific. As I mentioned previously, other school districts will probably attempt to run bond levy votes again. Not on the ballot yet. Actually, I believe I just saw that they did get enough, or they submitted their signatures to repeal the millionaire's tax. I'm not sure if it's going to end up in November or not. I just saw something about it yesterday, so please don't quote me on it yet. If they are still out gathering signatures, tell them to take a hike. I may or may not have.
It was July 2nd deadline.
We're going to move on to the endorsement committees. This is for both.
Endorsements. We endorse candidates when doing so advances our mission reflects our values, and helps build political power for democracy, justice, and progressive governance. That's the heart of the next 3 pages I have to share with you. There's a really good reason to look at endorsements. There's a really good reason to do a great deep dive when you're doing endorsements. And there's a really good reason when we've done all that work as members that you pay attention and you ask questions if you have them about those endorsements, because our intention is that we actually follow our mission and do really good work to build our governance here, especially in Washington State, especially locally. And that includes like the library, bond. I mean, there's amazing stuff. When we got districting in Everett, good things happen when we pay attention and when we get active at the grassroots level. Being nonpartisan and values-based also helps, because right now there are struggles with partisanship, but we don't have those when we look at everything to meet our values. That's a really great basis, and I wish the political parties would go back to thinking about their values and leading with those. I think that's what makes the grassroots so much stronger. We do endorse positions, initiatives, and levies and the like. If it's on the ballot, it can generally be evaluated against our mission and our values. The endorsement committee is responsible for managing, let me stay with the slides so this makes Cass's job so much easier. I'll finish with item 1, which is the first slide. And that is that, what does an endorsement mean? It means that the organization has determined that the candidate or the aligns with our mission and values, and that we're willing, as volunteer capacity allows, to support the candidate's campaign or the campaign itself. The support may include candidate visibility events, event attendance, canvassing, phone banking, postcard writing, letters to the editor, social media, email communication, and so on. Members are invited to engage with us on all of those activities. And if you don't know how to get a letter to the editor in, ask us and we will help you. Transparency and integrity is paramount. We strive to use the endorsement process in a fair manner that's consistent, transparent, and grounded in our actual volunteer capacity. There's not a lot of point of endorsing if we can't even share with our members that we're doing it. So we really try to get the word out and try and find ways we can engage with the candidates on those items. The purpose of the process is to protect the integrity of our endorsement while ensuring that, and this had to go to the second page, ensuring that the endorsement decisions are made by those who are prepared to help carry out the work that follows. Next slide, please. Ways candidates are considered. Perfect. We consider endorsements with early endorsement first through the committee of previously endorsed candidates. You can also nominate if you're within leadership or admin team. You can make nominations to the committee. You can also, as a member in good standing, or if we have a direct request from a candidate who is familiar with us and wants to seek out an endorsement, we will also consider that through the committee. Sometimes we don't endorse in a race. That can be kind of confusing, but sometimes we have 2 candidates that we determine are fairly progressive and rather equal in their appearance, in which case we really want voters to decide based upon their personal experience and their research. Obviously, the first thing we'll do as a committee is to actually do the research to make sure we are talking about 2 good candidates. But it has happened where we have not moved forward with an endorsement when we've had 2 highly qualified candidates to go before the voters. Once we do have them endorsed, of course, CAS will handle announcing it to the public through SCI channels, email, website, social media, meetings, and other public communications. The endorsement committee is responsible for managing the endorsement process, reviewing the candidate materials, considering member, if you want to know what goes on the other side of if you're looking to see what our secrets are. We actually have the meetings, we share materials, we share questionnaires from the candidates. We try and get publicly available information. We also consider member input, and then we vote on the endorsement recommendations or the decisions. If you're ever interested in serving with the endorsement committee, there is an opportunity to be considered, and you serve a 2-year term on that committee. The last thing I have on the endorsements is the individual members' activity levels. Just because Snohomish County Indivisible has made an endorsement and it wasn't of your best friend and your neighbor running for office, An individual, you are always free to vote for who you want to, support whoever's campaign you want to. Just please remember you're not representing Snohomish County Indivisible when we've already endorsed in a race. We've had a few of those where enough of us get involved in the community and we have difference of opinions, but we do our best with our research. So with that, the only additional thing I wanted to circle back on that was not said is when I talked about seeing me if you're interested in becoming a PCO for more information, I also want you to know that within our midst, we often have candidates who are running for office. If anyone in here is running for office, I'm not going to pass the mic, but please raise your hand. Just the one today. So we do have, thank you, someone running for office for the commissioner for District 1 of the PUD commissioners. And after the meeting, you are welcome to visit with the candidate who's in the back of the room. And we're also considering the endorsement right now of the candidate who is Janet St. Clair, running against an incumbent who is Mr. Logan. And I will tell you what's really fascinating about a race like that is we have the progressive candidate coming to us, but we have an incumbent. And that requires a lot of work from all of us because we have to do due diligence and see the differences between the candidates and come out strong and support the person who is the best for that office. And we will be doing that. And I'll have an opportunity to visit with Janet afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to election threats. And I will be going over the plan to address election threats in a minute. And before I really get into it though, I want to make it very clear, I should have said this at the beginning, like I shouldn't say every, a large number of national organizing bodies for activists across the country. Get out the vote work is the work to be doing this year. That's it. Protesting absolutely still has its place and it needs to continue to happen, but all of our energy is going to be funneled into get out the vote. And I'm not talking as much as Indivisible, the ACLU, League of Women Voters. I mean, they normally do get out the vote stuff. Move on. What I'm trying to remember, Good Trouble Lives On is doing get out the vote stuff. It's really, this is it. That's the plan. Vote and get other people to vote. So we have a number of threats to consider this year. For one, media. There is a difference between misinformation and disinformation, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter. The point is that it's intending to mislead people. And then we also have propaganda. We're going to see this on the internet, but it's also in person. It's in traditional media. You know, we're not just looking at Fox News. It's sometimes insidious. It's what might look like an innocuous comment on Instagram, but it's actually foreign interference. It's a bot account, basically. You're going to see claims of fraud. You also see claims that there is election interference, disseminating information, that rules or deadlines have changed, trying to trick people into not voting. It comes through mail, social media, but they are actually records that people are calling and texting people pretending to be like relatives or whatever, concerned like, oh my gosh, did you get your ballot in? The date has already passed and stuff like that. It's getting worse with AI. So yeah, insisting that voting doesn't matter. That's the one you see a lot. Or all politicians are the same, which, yeah, you can have your opinions about that. The fact of the matter is it discourages people from voting and even trying. It's a problem. And then again, denial of results, which we've already seen. Operational, so that's like on the ground stuff. This is your actual ballot box. Intimidating or impeding voters returning ballots, election workers counting ballots, ballots being picked up or taken to counting facilities or voter registration efforts. That may literally just mean a really obnoxious person standing next to like a League of Women Voters table and like yelling at people who are trying to come up and register to vote. It could be as simple as that. All this stuff impacts election results. ICE protesters or bad faith media present at ballot boxes or vote counting facilities. Law enforcement, even when present in good faith, may intimidate voters. It's an issue. Legal challenges, which we're already seeing quite a lot of. It's actually been in the news recently. The guy that runs the USPS came out and said that he would follow the executive order, even though it's not legal. That's a legal challenge. So we have vote by mail regulations or removal, changes or removal of voter rolls, changing regulations around who can register, and changing who is allowed to oversee elections as well. Removal or early closing of ballot boxes or impeding or preventing ballots being delivered. Ballot seizures from counting facilities. Interfering with the counting process. Again, the same old song from 2020 where they tried to stop the certification. And then the big one, which is what we probably all fear is the federal takeover of all elections. These are legal things are probably not really going to be what we're going to do. Snohomish County Indivisible is going to focus entirely on get out the vote, and then we will participate where possible in election protection. So earlier this year, April 8th, there was a webinar. It had a whole bunch of speakers on it. You can find a copy of the thing that has a nice little transcript readout of what it was about, which is the Standing for Democracy, along with the Free Washington Project. It was really, really good. We shared it out on our social media channels. Please look it up if you haven't. What came out of that was a lawyer who lives in Seattle is now organizing the official Washington State Election Protection Coalition. They requested representatives from Indivisible chapters. I signed up to go. That was like 2 weeks ago. It represents approximately 40 organizations across the state. There will be additional meetings and plans are underway to meet with the Secretary of State. And the whole point is basically to put all of our heads together and protect our election in Washington State. SCI efforts will primarily be focused on get out the vote. So whether or not anyone volunteers to actually get involved, we're going to do what we've always done, which is educate voters on important dates in the voting process, remind voters to get their ballots in. Main points: vote early, use a ballot box, verify that your ballot is received and accepted, and then cure your ballot. Curing is where it's been flagged as having an issue. Maybe there's a problem with your signature. You can actually go in and change it and then make sure that your ballot is counted. We always do at least a sign waving. I think we only did the one last year. And then we talk about it just incessantly up to it. I send out weekly emails, that'll go out. I did reminders. I think I sent like 3 emails leading up to the actual election day. That's going to be the basic stuff we do, and we're going to do no matter what. But additional efforts we can do depend entirely on volunteer capacity, which hopefully is why everyone's here and you're all going to sign up. Part of the coalition is also determining which groups are doing what in which areas so that we are not reinventing the wheel. If Select League of Women Voters does voter registration, we're not going to really focus on that a whole heck of a lot. We can support the League of Women Voters and what they're doing. We actually have them table at our large events to be able to do that. But we can also do lip drops. We can do county-wide visibility events reminding people to vote. We can give, as I said, extra assistance with voter registration. We can also possibly do rapid response at ballot boxes to counter intimidation, which may or may not be a big deal. We don't know yet. Again, that's part of the coalition and why we don't need to do everything all the time, everywhere. There are groups all across the state who are helping with everything. It's also possible you can either escort voters or just give them a ride to a ballot box. That's a great way to help out. And any other ideas? This is just what came off the top of my head. Depends entirely on volunteers. So, other things you can do that are separate from the SCI, sort of separately. Postcarding is still purpose. Jerusha is going to talk about postcarding.
I'm going to just speak really loud because I have hearing aids when I use this, and this is my ability to hear properly. And then I talk with. So I have been coordinating the Center for Common Ground Reclaim Our Vote campaigns for SCI since last summer. I took it over. And I just want to give some highlights real quick. So last fall, when I just took it over, we managed to get 1,800 postcards out from about 27 different writers for Virginia's general election. And things went really well. We were part of that. Even though we had like a small number compared to all the postcards that went out, we were still a part of it. January of this year, I had 80 people signed up at that point, and I helped coordinate nearly 4,000 postcards going out for the Wisconsin Supreme Court election and the Virginia redistricting race. Both turned out really well, except for the back end of what happened with Virginia's redistricting and their Supreme Court. This summer, Center for Common Ground is trying to get out about 4.5 million postcards. They're pushing out to North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and Virginia. The North Carolina addresses, about 4,500,000 have already been claimed. Moving on to Georgia, they're trying to send 2.5 million to that state. And I've already distributed about 4,000 postcards to about 35, 36 writers who then go on to have their own postcard parties sometimes. So it's not like there's somebody who's getting 500 postcards and they're doing it all themselves, but I do have some ambitious people who sometimes get like 150 or so. They're starting these campaigns really early this year because they're trying to get out the vote to so many people. I still have about 6,000 postcards to distribute, so at any point during the summer, when you see the information coming out in the newsletters or you're interested and you see the link, go ahead and click. I'm happy to get it together. I will say that since postcarding for Snohomish County Indivisible started in 2020, over 17,000 postcards have been sent out from this group. So it's been like a steady effort of contribution to this bigger, wide scale approach to getting the vote out. They focus primarily on turning out Black voters in these high impact elections that are national. For like us, they will affect us, even if there are state elections, like having that Supreme Court race in Wisconsin really mattered what the outcome was, even though we're not in Wisconsin. Ways that you can participate if you don't have the time, but you want to donate postage or donate for postage. I have one particular gal I'm just going to share out. She's not, I don't think she's here, but she requested 900 postcards because she's working with a community group of adults who have autism and want to participate, who do not want to be out in the community. And she requested like 50% postage. And I said, well, we'll see what we're at the end of the summer, because that's 450 stamps, which is incredibly expensive. But if people are helping with the donations, we can get that to her. And that is a way to engage a lot of people who maybe couldn't get out to the big protests. I had other groups reach out to me in the fall saying like, hey, I can't get the people in the homes that I'm in out to the protests, but we want to participate. You can request not packs of 20, but packs of 30. And I'm going to show you why. So I prepare packs. This is just one pack. And in the packs, people will get at least 30 cards or more, depending on what they request. They'll get a list of addresses, and I usually highlight when the mailing has to happen, and just a reminder to scan the QR code when you're done to let us know that you completed the addresses. You'll get a sheet of these informational stickers that go right in the middle of the postcard, and you'll get a guide that gives you a script. You don't have to think about what to write. You can just copy this down. You can use pens, you can use colored pencils, because you are writing person to person. You're reaching out to another citizen in this country. And then there's also just a general guide if you've never done this before, and you're just like, what are all the steps? This will tell you what to do. But I have all the links in my forms and my signups. Trying to limit to individuals. If you do request help with postage, it's usually 30 stamps for one pack. And the address sheets come in 30. So last fall when I took this over and I was honoring the 20 pack, I was like constantly cutting. And I said, that's too much. Out front, you'll see something like this through the rest of the summer. You can scan this. It'll take you right to the sign up form if you like. There's a couple of little quarter sheets you can take too if you want to scan it later. Feel free to. And I'm happy to answer any questions you email me with at any time if you have questions later on today. She is going to pull up some information about North County, Snohomish County Indivisible postcarding as well. I met with these gals last weekend. They're great. There's a lot of overlap in the communities that we're targeting, but the biggest difference is I want to grab and go. Like, do it at your own pace, just as long as you get it sent out when it's due. These gals are really trying to promote more community building, so you have a chance to talk to other people filling out the postcard. And they are drawing from a different set of addresses, not from the ones that I'm drawing with sitting around. So when you're thinking like, well, maybe I'd like to get together with people, that North County group, they do an excellent job organizing in-person postcard collaborations. But if you want to do it on your own, or you have a group of friends that are like, I want to get involved, and you're like, well, I can score 150 postcards and addresses and bring them over, then I'm the person that you probably want to communicate with. All right. That's it.
And Georgia is an experienced teacher that showed.
Yeah.
Possible. And I just want to mention also that all the dates that are listed up there are currently on our mobilize, so you can register and get reminders for those. You can also do phone and text banking for other states through Indivisible National. They actually have a special website just for 2026 set up now. This is for campaigns all across the country. They're doing their big they're primarying Democrats, basically, that they feel are ineffectual is the big push right now for primaries. You can also sign up for the Indivisible National newsletter where opportunities will be sent out. Now, this one's really, really cool. So along with Take Action Network, that is Washington specific, we also get to benefit from Indivisible Fashion. They have the Battleground States Matrix. I'm gonna put up a screenshot of what their website looks like. But it's really easy to find on the website. It's a spreadsheet that lays out all the biggest races across the country, identifying where you can help and have the most impact. The whole point of it was to be really efficient with people's time and energy. There are links to campaign efforts right on the spreadsheet. You also have the option of contacting the candidates directly to volunteer. And I know for a fact there are quite a few people in Washington state that travel to other states to help canvass in person. Washington state is we're really involved and we care an awful lot. I highly recommend checking it out. Now, locally, again, as I mentioned previously, we have our Get the Vote efforts we're going to do no matter what. With visibility events, we also want people to have community conversations, talk to people. Did you vote? Are you registered? Did you check that your ballot was actually accepted? That's a thing you can do. A lot of people have no idea. Social media, post your own content, talk about voting, reshare important information from other sites, give an algorithm boost to post, which is just liking, commenting, whatever. The algorithm is extremely annoying. I hate it so much. We'll get posts that get like 5 views for no reason whatsoever. Just liking and commenting on it doesn't. I would appreciate it if it was our social media channels because I'm officially the only one running the Instagram Blue Sky account now. It would just help me a lot. But you know, hey, go check out the League of Women Voters, the ACLU, all those other places. They also are going to be posting that stuff. Share it whenever you see it. It helps. And then as I mentioned, League of Women Voters in Snohomish County, you can also volunteer with them. They do outreach and registration, information displays and tabling. They also do election observation. This one, the Civic Center, was actually shared to me with someone on our LGBTQ advocacy team. They specifically go to high schools to increase youth participation. They're trying to do voter registration. I believe I said in Washington state, voter registration can happen as early as 16. So you're just automatically registered, and then as soon as you turn 18, you get to vote for the next election. So that's another one that you can volunteer for. Candidate support. We're now going to turn over to Robin McGee.
Okay, pretty excited to be here. Thanks for showing up today and spending some of your Sunday here. So for folks who don't know me, my name is Robin McGee. I am the chair. I am partisan. I am the chair of the Snohomish County Democratic Party. I'm also a commissioner on the charter, the Snohomish County Charter Review Commission. And I did run Susanna Johnson's campaign for sheriff a couple years ago. And you know, we really bring that one up to let you know, like, why I'm here talking about candidate support. Like, I do kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit there. So I did want to mention or highlight a couple of candidates that really show how important involvement in campaigns is to successful campaigns. So Sam Doyle, fantastic candidate, first-time candidate in Mount Lake Terrace. She ran last year. And she called me up and she said, is there any point to running against a 16-year incumbent who has tons of local support? He supports flop cameras and I'm completely against that. And I said, absolutely, that's a great thing you should do. And you should run against that person. but you really need to do this, if you want to win. And she's an extreme introvert. And she overcame her introvertedness and she got her friends together and she went out doorbelling and she spoke at events and she got involved in postcard writing and they did all of the things that I'm going to talk about in a minute here. And she won, and she barely won by 20 votes. She won. And so now she's sitting there on city council in Mountain Terrace, and she's out speaking at events, and she speaks at the No Kings rallies, and really it has done amazing things. And so huge win there. Troy Elmore, great guy, pretty centrist kind of guy. So Snohomish County Fire Commissioner. So he's an incumbent. He was as an incumbent back in 2023. And he put up signs to run for re-election, and his opponent put up signs, did a big fuss on social media, but neither one of them did a ton of outreach. But Troy, thinking, well, my voter pamphlet will speak for itself, but he was challenged by somebody that I really very much did not want to win, and I won't get into why, but I was really hoping that he would win, but I was busy running the sheriff's race, so I really didn't get involved. And he barely won. It's always an incumbent. He really should have kind of walked away from it, considering neither one of them were really involved. But he only won by 14 votes. He was out ballot chasing after the election, and it was very dicey. And had he put in more effort, so had he done some of the things that Sam Doyle and her team did, he would have been fine and he would have won by several hundred votes. But it was look how many people voted. Almost 15,000 people voted, and there were only 14 votes apart. So your vote matters and your involvement matters. So canvassing. And this is different in different parts of the country. So depending on where you are, you could argue against this, but here in the Pacific Northwest, in most areas, canvassing is the #1 way to inform voters about your candidate or your issue. It is not as great for GOTV, but you don't want to ever stop canvassing. You will canvass on election day if that's what you need to do to make sure that people get their ballots turned in. So it's usually organized by campaigns. I do recommend, if you go out doorbelling, use minivan. If you're offered the choice between using minivan or using paperless, go for minivan, even if you don't know how to use it. All you need is a smartphone, and it's very simple to use. I taught John Lovick how to use it after he refused for years and years, and this man is not a smartphone guy. And every time I see him, he's like, gosh, Robin, I have you show me how to use minivan. It's very simple to use, and it helps you find the doors much better than a stupid paper. It's also better for the environment. So, get logged in before, if you can, possible, download the app and just kind of be ready to go.
Your mentor even taught me how to use.
And taught you how to do it. Yeah, that's right. So when you're doorbelling, when you go out, and it is very simple, by the way, and if you don't want to talk to people, do what I did the first time and just go with somebody and stand next to them all the time and let them do all the talking, and then you do become more comfortable with the message and just with talking to people at the door. But as soon as you knock on the door, you step back a couple feet to give them kind of some space, don't fall off the porch behind you. Always go in pairs, by the way. But as soon as they open that door, you say, hi, my name's Robin, I'm out here today, and you're handing this piece of paper. They cannot refuse to take this piece of paper. They will take it from you, and that's all you want to do is here's your message, and it has some great things about your candidate. Hi, my name's Robin, I'm out here today for Susanna John, I'm running for Snohomish County Sheriff, blah, blah, blah. And you have about 25 seconds of your blurb. You say exactly what you're supposed to say. You don't improvise, but don't answer any questions that you don't really know the answer to. If they ask, what does so-and-so think about this particular issue? If you don't 1,000% know their answer to that, you say, I'm really not sure, but here on their flyer has their website. You might be able to find that there, or here's their email. Could you just email them? And maybe the candidate will ask you to take notes if people ask questions. And that's all fun. But you want to stick to the script, and then however it is they want you to handle those questions if they don't want to know. Know who is answering. If it says in minivan, you're here to talk to somebody named Sarah, and it says Sarah is a female, and some, burly dude opens the door. You wanna say, hi, is Sarah available, right? You don't wanna talk to dude might be a MAGA guy that you don't wanna talk to, I don't know. And then talk to whoever's training you to go out that day for that campaign, ask them how to handle that situation. They might say, just go ahead and leave whoever with the flyer and walk away. That might be the message. And then they might also just say, no, don't leave it with dude who's just gonna throw it in the garbage because we don't know. Just keep it, let them know we'll be back. And that's fine. So however they want you to handle it, but know who's answering the door, know who you're looking for. Safety, bring a water bottle, sunblock depending on the weather, go in pairs. No soliciting versus no trespassing. No trespassing means do not cross that no trespassing ever. It's not legal. No soliciting, different campaigns have different policies for that. But doorbelling for a candidate or for an issue is not soliciting. It is not technically considered soliciting from a legal perspective. But the last thing you can do is walk up to somebody's door, knock on the door, have them come out and go, did you not see my no soliciting sign? And then have you get into an argument with them about what their sign on their door says. So my thing is, I knock on the door, depending on the candidate, whatever their policies. I knock on the door, and if they answer and they go, did you not see my no soliciting sign? I go, oh my gosh, I did not see that. I am so sorry, even if I did. Because honestly, most people who have them don't even realize they have them on their door because they bought their house and it had it on it, and it just, there it sits. And so everybody feels differently about them. So have whatever the candidate wants to do. And it also comes down to, or usually comes down to, for candidates, they usually just say, whatever you're comfortable with doing. If you're comfortable with knocking on it, great. Some people don't want to have that 1 in 50 people who are going to yell at you for knocking on their door. And that's fair, because people can be mean. Sign waving, this is super fun. So the sign waving is best, in my opinion, for GOTV. Right? You're not going to convince anybody from standing on a street corner waving a sign, but you're going to remind them to turn in their ballot, right? And that's all the goal is there. Usually organized by campaigns or individuals or groups. So Snohomish Indivisible, they organize sign waving events. Some things to avoid, so avoid roundabouts or confusing intersections. You don't want people crashing because they're trying to read your sign. You also don't want people not looking at your signs because they're so busy. Very careful going through whatever intersection. Solid sidewalks with safe exit areas. Just wherever it is that you are, make sure that, if a car kind of goes outside the lines a little bit or whatever, you have a safe place you can kind of step off into. Just something to keep in mind. Never go by yourself. I never go unless there's at least 3 of us, and that's a pretty low number, but I will go with less than 2 other people. I also don't like advertising the date and location publicly. Sometimes it's fine. I think Indivisible does. I do not, because I've had my opponent have his whole team go there and take all 4 corners. So it's sort of pointless that we had to move intersections at the last minute. So I try to avoid that. Also, when you choose your location, make sure that there are safe places to park, and then also walk to where you're going to be babysitting. Postcard writing, we just heard a bunch of that. I love it for GOTV. It really is best to remind people just to turn in their ballot. Nobody's going to vote for your candidate because you've convinced them on a postcard. That's my opinion. All this stuff's my opinion. But yeah, organized by campaigns do it individually, organizations do it. Snohomish Indivisible, postcards4wad.org. In fact, Sam Doyle got thousands of postcards written for her through postcards4wad.org. They do them for hyper local candidates. A very fantastic organization. I'm writing some for Snohomish County Indivisible right now. Great. So it is also a great way to help campaigns in other states, right? So how can we take back the House and the Senate? How can we make sure that we get good judicial folks in other states? That is through that start. So usually it's a right now, mail later. Yeah, it's pretty standard. and then just follow exactly what they say to do. Again, just like at the door, don't improvise. The campaigns know what they're doing and they're telling you exactly what the right message is for that campaign. That's right. Phone banking, everybody's least favorite thing most people's least favorite thing to do. People are kind of mean I'll tell you right now, people are really nice at the door, generally speaking. Most people to your face aren't going to be awful. Phone, pretty awful. You want super duper mean people, do some text banking. Those folks are just cruel. Phone banking is organized by campaigns and organizations. Super great for out of state. I did a ton of them during the last presidential campaign. A lot of good that did, but it was important work to do. But this fall, there will be lots of phone banks across the country, so we can try to take back the House and the Senate. I know I will be recruiting those folks at the or the Evergreen State Fair, trying to get folks to sign up for phone banking to try to take back some of those seats. But again, people will be rude, they will be mean. You'll also have super heartwarming conversations that just make you so happy to have called that number. They make you feel really, really good. Just when you get a rough call, take a little walk, breathe, and know that you're doing good work. So yeah, okay, I think that's close. No, we can go right in. Snohomish County Charter Review Commission. This was super fun. Oh, that's right. Okay. I can come back up. Is somebody else speaking about that high level?
No, this is just explaining what the commission does.
Oh, I didn't read it, but I can certainly speak to it. So the Charter Review Commission, so the Snohomish County, and there is one for the city of Everett, and I know other cities have them as well. But Snohomish County has a Charter Review Commission, and it is formed every 10 years. And that commission is tasked with coming up with proposed amendments for the county charter. The county charter is basically the constitution for our county. And it really affects county and not so much the municipalities within the county. So they came up with 5 propositions this year to be moved forward to the ballot. And I will tell you, these are all pretty bad. Well, most of them are pretty bad. So number 1, the Prop 1 is adoption of a foundational government services policy. And the worst thing about this is it's dumb and it doesn't do anything at all. So you can read right there in the words, prioritizing funding, quote, including but not limited to, and then it lists some offices. Number 1, public defense office is not listed. It is an office within Snohomish County. Also, including but not limited to, it could literally be every single area of Snohomish County. So you can't prioritize some things, but not limited to these things. So there's super no point in number 1. That's right, it's dumb. Okay, number 2. So this one I actually agree with. So prioritize funding of budget stabilization funds. So this is Prop 2. It gets a little into the weeds. I won't get into the weeds here today, but it creates, like it says, there is currently a stabilization fund for Snohomish County that 4 of the 5 council members can vote on in order to use. I will also tell you that they vote to use it every single year to stabilize the budget, which is rough. If they have done that, they've allocated funds, and then OSO happens. Now we're screwed and we have no money. So what this is this would make that stabilization another stabilization fund that is only under the control of the auditor and only for use in catastrophic situations. That would take care of that problem. I think number 2 is good, but for reasons I'll state in a little bit, I say vote no on everything. So number 3, converting all elected county offices to nonpartisan offices. This is the worst of the bunch. Excellent, yes, yeah. So there was $50,000-$60,000, I think something like that, thrown into the election of 11 of the 15 commissioners in order to make this happen. So that was from the Toyer Group. It's a land development company in Snohomish County. So they really, really wanted this. The purpose of this, honestly, is so Nate Gehring will be our next county executive. Because in Snohomish County, they know this as well as we do, that if it's nonpartisan, it helps more Republicans get elected. That's the bottom line. For me, as chair of the Snohomish Dems, I can't even remember how many phone calls across the county by people. They found our number on the website, and I am so angry with all of these candidates on my ballot who are lying about not having a political affiliation. They say, well, these are school boards and city councils that are technically nonpartisan. So all that really tells me, and I'd explain this to these folks, and then I walk them through their ballot and suggest who they should vote for. What they're trying to do is remove transparency of a partisan label for legislative purposes. These are legislative positions, at least the county council and county exec are legislative positions. They are not school boards. They are not the sheriff. I mean, prosecutor, you could argue it could be nonpartisan, and I really don't care. But county council and county exec should not be. And I will also tell you right now, and after this, in fact, I will send it to Anita so she can get it to you. During one of our meetings, our council chair, Mark James out of Marysville, he said during a meeting recorded on the county website, he said, I just heard a commissioner say that the purpose of this is to obfuscate information from the voters, and that's exactly its intention.
Yes.
He's the guy who wrote this. So it's awesome that he said it out loud on video, and it's on the county website. So enough for number 3. Number 4, increasing public access to county financial transparency. All of this information that they're asking for in this tool is already available. You can go get it on the county website. They just want to make it easier, but their claim is that the county is not transparent. It's fine. This thing isn't actually a problem, but it's going to cost us all some money. I'm voting no. Let's see, number 5. This is the other really horrible one. So requiring 4 of 5 supermajority council vote to increase taxes. Right now, 4 of the 5 council members must vote yes. It's already hard enough to get all 3 of them to vote yes. And so right now, the council members can vote to raise 1% taxes per year without going to a vote of the people. They won't be able to do that. And we're all kind of tightening our belts. We're going to put gas in our tanks. It's all more expensive. The county's feeling the same thing. If you don't allow the county council members to make decisions to go, yeah, we need to raise taxes a little bit. These are the people we elected. If we don't trust them to make this decision, we should vote them out. This just makes it really hard. It allows 2 people to veto spending for the county. And that's a problem. People are going to be fired and programs will be cut. This is bad. This is also probably going to pass because people look at this and they go, oh, I don't want my taxes to go up. And this is not a tax increase, but they want to make it so 80% of the county council must vote in the affirmative. So at the very end of all the meetings, the four dissenters, of which I was one, we penned a letter. I do have a hard copy here today, and it is on the county website, but it's hard to find. A dissent letter. We refused to sign off on these 5 things that they sent forward, and we cited really lack of transparency. We had people in this room, I know Paula was there several times, legal feminine voters showed up at every single meeting speaking out about how the whole system was a sham. They were not being transparent. They weren't listening to people. They weren't even informing folks what the propositions were on the website. People weren't listened to. So it's all really terrible. It's really about the process. And like I said, at least 2 of the proposals undermine the interest of the voters of the county. It is literally these people voted these things in because they were paid to be there and they voted in lockstep. So moving forward. So pro-con committees are being formed right now. So the 4 dissenters, we're finding con people for 3 and 5. And really, it's about name recognition, so we're kind of cherry picking, just 3 people. You only get to have 3 people on each committee. So we're finding the folks to be on that committee. These are the pro-con statements. These are the ones you're gonna find in your voters pamphlet. This will all be on your ballot in November. So when you go see proposition, it says supporting statement and then statement against, and then both of the rebuttals. That's what these committees are for. And I know that the con committees for Props 1, 2, and 5 are being formed by League of Women Voters, and then some folks here are Snohomish County Indivisible. So it's really important. We'll get some folks on here, but there are people who are looking for like recognizable names to put on there. So don't worry about signing up, but I'm just letting you know where that process is right now. And then July 21st, we'll have, the county will appoint 3 people for each committee. So moving forward, so I will tell you from putting back on my Snowco Downs hat, we are all in against all of this stuff. So we're saying vote no on everything. We're creating a website just for visibility for these issues. We're teaming up with No Hate in Washington State, which we also support. And we're going to have some joint literature. We're going to have lit dropping through the Washington State Dems coordinated campaign. They're going to drop lit for us for free. And yeah, this is all so very bad. We're also going to be hosting some coffee chats like the 4 dissenters. And then we have some really interesting folks who were excited to jump in and help us out and join these committees. And even if they can't join the committees, they're going to help support. And an interesting name out of that is Jared Mead. And I didn't know that he would jump on, but he is very supportive of against all 5 of these. John Lovick is also very supportive against all 5 of these. So there's some pretty big folks who are excited, and they're going to come out to coffee chats to educate the public on this stuff. Yes, so Snowco Dems are also going to raise funds. So we really want to get a mailer out in November and send it out across the county. Try to defeat all 5 of these things. And the best thing you can do to help, talk to your friends. It's not gonna be till November, but let them know, vote no on all 5 of these things, all 5 of these things, including those 2, the No Hate in Washington State. So we're gonna try to highlight all of those together, so.
We're almost done again.
Awesome.
Just as a reminder, if everything went too fast, you're gonna get copies of the slides. Also, if you have any questions and you don't wanna wait around after the meeting, send an email to the main group email. It's on our website. It goes to me. I will be the one that answer. Our inbox is clear. I'm very good at this.
Ready for it.
So yeah, don't worry about it if you felt like it's by too fast and you didn't get enough information. So immediate volunteer needs. This is stuff you can do right now. Candidate support, canvassing, fundraising, and then the 4th of July parades. I'm gonna try really hard to get that email out on Monday. And I want to clarify, we only provide media support for candidates that we have endorsed. There will be some people who are not on there because they're still going through the endorsement process, because the committee won't have met again until after Monday. Our current endorsements, the ones that have already gone through, is on the website yesterday. And then communications. I'm the communications manager. At this point, it's just me. I had one person helping me. She quit yesterday. She moved on to something better. She wasn't like angry at me or anything. Paul does a Facebook page. Like that's it. That's our communications team. It's me and then Paul helps sometimes. So social media, weekly email support. The weekly candidate email I send out is really time intensive because I have to go and gather all of that information every single week for all the volunteer opportunities for every single endorsed candidate. It's exhausting. And then we also have the newsletter team. We could use some more writers. Betsy is over there. You can talk to Betsy. She's the lead on the editor. And then the Get Out the Vote action team, which again, I'll be really honest, I'm really tired and I kind of don't want to lead it, but it needs doing, so I'm going to, and I will continue to do that. If someone wants to take over leading it, go ahead. We can also co-lead if you feel uneasy about it. I think it's important to mention for volunteering matters, like I'm not an expert. I've only been doing this about 1.5 years. I still am like flounder and like feel overwhelmed by things, or like I'm not good enough. And I still have a lot to learn. Like I asked Paul and Robin a lot of questions of like, did I do a good job in the presentation? Do I need to change anything? Because I'm still learning. It's okay. Like, we're just gonna go out and do it. You'll make it, I promise.
You're
Please don't-
great.
Thank you. The vote action team is, we have our basic stuff that we're already gonna do, and I'm gonna do all that stuff anyway. The action team is probably extra. This is the extra stuff we're gonna do this year. Planning and implementing, get out the vote strategies, extra sign wavings, lit drops, all that stuff that I mentioned previously. That's what we're talking about with the action team. We actually have the July 17th to the 19th, Good Trouble Lives On, is doing like a whole civic action, nonpartisan teaching, like it's a whole thing on the website, you can find it. I will be doing something, we'll be doing something for that, it hasn't been planned yet. So that's our first goal for doing something for get out the vote stuff. But this is gonna continue all the way through November. And I also mentioned that I think it was on last week's What's the Plan with Land Ezra for Indivisible, which if you don't follow that stuff, it's actually pretty good. They send out transcripts afterwards, so you don't actually have to watch it. But they have brought up that the No Kings Coalition, which is not actually run by Indivisible, it's a coalition of groups. That we will probably have something again this year that will probably be centered around get out the vote stuff. I'm anticipating, they did say it was like, should be coming up soon, but I'm also anticipating something in October. There's probably gonna be something in October, so that's another goal we'll probably have for something big for get out the vote stuff. Otherwise, that's the presentation.
Another final quick thank you to Betsy for the work she does in the newsletter, Jerusha for showing up today and having us have a postcard. Robin for serving on the incredibly biased charter commission and coming in to inform us. Again, to Cass, another hand, please. Elections matter. They say this is the most important election of your lifetime. They say that every time, but this time they're actually correct. This is it. Showing up here today matters. Doing anything matters. And learning while you're doing it is perfectly fine. We're all learning no matter when we started. We're still in a learning curve. Thank you for showing up. We'll see you soon. Take care.